Hello YouTube, how you guys doing? Kevin here. Okay, so this is my 1979 KM100. If you watch my videos, you know all about this bike. I got it in a basket case. It runs great. It has left me stranded one time from points failure. They were the factory points that were installed on this bike. This bike's got low mileage, so which is acceptable. 16, 19, and what do you call it there? The points were just old. The spring had failed and the points failed. So anyway, I installed new points and condenser. I did a video on all that, and so now we're at the next step. This thing right here, I want it to be reliable as my KE100. So this bike right here shares the same power plant as the KE100, with the exception is a different cylinder head and a different jug. The only difference between the two is the exhaust port on the KD100s, the KD80s, and the KM100s is on the side, on the right side. On the KE100, it's in the middle. Now, if you want to make this into a KE motor, you simply change the cylinder and jug, the cylinder and head, and then this will fit right on my KE100. But we're not going to do that. So what we are going to do is we are going to convert this bike from points ignition. This bike is a 1979. We're going to convert it using parts from a 2000 KE100. See if I can separate these. I might have to put it out for a second. 4-post magnet. And this is the Magneto right here. We're going to change out the coil. I'm going to do some of this stuff without being on a video, but there is a video on it already. I did like the soldering on the electrical to make this so it's a plug and play, because I want to be able to put this bike back. So I cut up an old harnesses I had, and these parts right here are going to be installed on this 1979 KM100. And the parts being used are from a 2000 KE100. They are compatible and they're going to work. So what I'm going to do, this video right here is going to be video number 1, and basically just showing how the seat and tank come off and all that type of stuff. So because of the I'm doing this one-handed, I did some pre-loosening of stuff, if you will. Like I popped off the fuel line right here. So on the KEs, on the KMs and the KDs, the seat is held on with 2 of these. You pull them back, and then the seat comes off. Just pops off just like that. This bike right here, I have the battery inside on the charger. I took it off last night. So I'm going to put these in these buckets right here, my storage bins, so they don't blow away and nothing happens to them. A very good bike on these. To take the tank off real hard, grab this rubber, you pull it up and back, and that releases your tank after you undo your fuel line, which I've already done. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to pause you real quick. I'm going to run this over to that bin. Okay, we got the tank in the bin. You can see where our ignition coil is hanging right there. So we're going to have to take all that off and do that. The voltage regulator is up underneath the fuel tank on the on the KD100 with the lights and the KM100s. It's the same as the KE100s. So I tension lead off. Boot comes off. That's okay. That can just stay right on there. I'm not going to worry about that too much. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the ignition coil using a 10mm. This part right here I didn't already go ahead and do. So hopefully it comes off without issue. Normally I'd use a ratchet, but I'm not going back in the house to grab that. So okay, I think I might end up doing it because these have some long parts to them. But anyway, let's go on to the side covers. The side covers are held on with 2 screws on both sides, one underneath. And this side cover right here is the same side cover used on the KD80. the reason why we're moving these covers so we can get to the electrical, and it stops us from whacking them and marring them up. So it's easier to remove them than to replace them. Keep that in mind when you're doing something like this. Okay, and it fits up. One tab goes underneath, one tab goes on front of the frame, and that's how it holds it securely. Be gentle with it when you pull them off, because you know they're old, they can crack. See the oil reservoir, and that's the window to see how much you have in it. So this one, we'll put this in this one right here, like that. So you get these nice bins we can put the stuff in. Stops the wind from blowing them away, and then all right. Now on this cover has one screw at the bottom, right up underneath here. And this right here I would say is the more fragile of the two, and I'll show you why in a second. Because this one right here has a longer piece and it fits under like a sleeve, which I'll show you in a second. You have to pull it all the way up like that, like basically at a 90, and then pull out, because it's got this little sleeve right here that fits into the groove. This piece right here fits into that groove and then goes around it. And I'll pop the screw back into it. Nice, like that. Yeah, bam. Okay. Throw that in our bin. Work smart, not hard. That's my motto here. Okay. Then we have to remove. I already loosened up this bolt right here. So trying to get that off is a little on the tricky side. Sometimes they're in there really tight. Do not pry against the, if you look where I'm prying, I'm not prying against the oil seal. When you do this, and you gotta do it back, you can actually use a Phillips screwdriver on the little lip that's right here. You can feel it with your hand, your finger, and you put the V, the groove part, on that part right there, just like that, and you can actually shake it back and forth. Don't pry it, shake it, okay? Shake it like a Polaroid picture, you know? And then you can, then you'll basically just walking it off, because you don't want to damage the shaft, and you don't want to damage your side cover. Very important. Then you put your screw back into it, and I'll run this over in a little bit. I'm gonna take this side cover off. I'm just doing some preliminary stuff right now. I'm not doing any major removal of anything. This is just the first video on the step on how to do this. Get to that point, and then I'll show you a little bit more. These covers on the Magneto side are all three the same cover bolts. So you don't have to worry about taking them off and being all over the place. You can see my Magneto right there. Alright, good. Okay. So then we'll take this right here, and we'll put this in there as well. Let's see. Okay, cool beans. Okay. So now you got your bike basically stripped down to where all the happiness is going to be, which is going to be underneath that Magneto. Same as the KEs and the KMs and the KDs. This is your ground wire right here, which is a pull. It's very hard to come off sometimes. That'll snap off right there. That right there is your neutral safety switch. Basically, it doesn't stop the bike from starting if it's not in gear, but this here gives you your light. So if your light's not working, it's probably that connector right there. Oh, it's got little teeth on it. Look at that. Look how small the gear is in the front there. I think I see an upgrade here, baby. That's a tiny little guy. We're going to upgrade that tooth. I have a sprocket that'll go on that and make this be perfect. Get a little bit more oomph out of it. Alright, so anyway, so that's where I'm at with that. Alright, we got to remove the spark plug, put the piston stop in, and remove that Magneto cover. Okay, so now we're going to pop the plug off. We'll put that boot on the end of that. A minute. Like that, so it sits back on there. We'll remove the spark plug. Sorry about the shakiness in the video. Like I said, I'm doing this one-handed. Plug actually looks pretty decent. Okay, we're going to install the piston stop. Screw it in as far as you can. Doesn't have to be super tight, just snug. Then we're going to go and put the 14mm socket onto the. I'm going to pressure wash this too after when I'm all done with it, before I put it back together. Alright, as a rule of thumb, what I like to do is I like to rotate the mag until it touches. Okay, it's right there. We'll put this on here like this. And take it off. Ooh, take it off. Okay, there is a washer in there that will come off with it. Okay, so then let's go do it right here. This is a cool tool. This right here is a Magneto removal tool, and it has two different sizes. Sometimes make sure you get the one with the two sizes. They're the same price as the one with the single size, but if you're doing different bikes, it's good to have the small one as well. This is reverse thread, so you're going to loosen it to tighten it. Just wind it right in by hand. Back this off. Plug is in all the way. Then we're going to take a 19. I should have got this while I was over here. Get the 19mm socket. So I dropped everything. Made a freaking mess. It's alright. And then we're going to put that on here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate the Magneto in the opposite direction. I'm going to pause you for a second, switch my sockets. Okay, socket switched. And now we're going to tighten it until the Magneto comes off. Should come right off because I just had this off. Yep, see right there, boom, it's off. And that just happened. Okay, and you can see the three magnets. Same setup as the KE100s, the KMs, the KDs, all those are the same. Okay, so then the next step we're going to do is there's a bolt here and one here, and we're going to use the impact hammer to drive them out. So I'm going to put you down for a second after I grab it. Okay, so what I did, I can't do it with two hands, hold this and do that. So this is the impact driver right here I use. I stick it right on here like this, and I take the hammer and I whack this end of it right here in the reverse order, and it will shock it loose. And now I can just stick my screwdriver on there and take the blade out just like that. Don't lose your screws, your bolts and stuff. You be very careful. Your washer is actually stuck under here, by the way, so you'll see that. I'm gonna get ready to do that. Sorry about the camera, guys. Very difficult. Okay, and then this gasket most likely is going to rip or tear. We're going to use silicone if it does, but we're not going to stress over that. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can maneuver it in such a way where you can just a little dab. Yep, we did it. Good. Where we broke the gasket, we can just put a dab of silicone right there and it'll be perfectly fine. Okay. Alright, so there's that and that. We got the key. Make sure it stays right on there. And then we're going to take the electronic ignition. We're not going to finish this today. Oh, we're going to finish it tonight, but not we're not gonna be able to start it tonight, unfortunately. So the mag is hanging down right there. Your grommet is going to be facing up when you put this on. That way you know which way it's going on. And then we're going to pop it on. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to, I'll come right back. Okay, so now I have on my KM100, I have the plate installed with the electronic ignition. And basically what I did was I wound the screw in, wound that screw in with the screwdriver, and I just gave it one little boom with the impact on the tightening part, and then ran my grommet up through with the wiring, and there we have an electronic ignition. Pretty freaking cool. But remember, it will not work with that coil, so you have to put the electronic coil on there. So the next step is going to be the Magneto. It's right here. Got that nice condition, and we're going to torque this to 36 foot-pounds, if I remember correctly. And then we're going to put this on like this. I think didn't move the key. Okay, just like that. Yep. Then we're going to retrieve our sacred washer by pulling this out. Got a nice trusty old blocky washer. Throw that on there. And then the nut. I actually don't like this nut. I'm going to go grab another one. I have this actually in better shape. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Oh, nice new nut that I had from another one. The threads on this one looked a lot better than the other one. The other one just a little... It didn't look like it was that good before. I could tell I'm having a little bit of walking issue here on this crank here, so you want to take your time and make sure you get that to go on. So this side right here, the rough side, make sure it goes on straight. I gotta put you guys down for a second, and I'll be right back. Okay, so basically what I did was I cleaned up the threads a little bit, I deburred it, and then I torqued it down to 36 foot-pounds with the torque wrench. Basically just pulled that on there with the piston stop in, and then pulled it back to 36, and then we're good, we're tight. Double check it, always make sure, and then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate this back a little bit. That helps you get the piston stop out. Once your piston stop is out, then at that point you can put your spark plug back in. Spark plug's in excellent shape, so we'll put that back in there. And we'll tighten it down. Don't need to go crazy with it. Okay, so then I'm going to go grab a 10mm and take the coil off, get that dismounted. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I got my 10mm socket. I'll remove the ignition coil. Sorry about that. Click it off. Okay. Remove it. And note that there's a ground wire on this. The yellow with the black with the yellow stripe. That's your system ground. Okay. Now we got all the bolts loose. We can take them off. We're not going to lose these because we're going to reuse this hardware. Undo your ground right there. Pop your coil off and out. And then find where she plugs into, which is right there. And then we'll take that off. What I do is I'm going to screw the nut, because we're not ready to make the mount yet, the coil mount. But we're going to screw that back onto that. Right like that. So we have the coil. We're going to do an exchange. We're going to run the coil over to the box, to here, put that in there and exchange it for this back. I was going to change the gear. I'm not doing that right now. That's a different video, doing gear ratios. Right now we're going to reinstall this cover. So I'm going to go grab some silicone real quick, and I'm going to do a little dab right where those two meet, and this thing's going to be fine. Okay, so I put a little dab of silicone in back of the gasket, and I made it all nice. Now, if it was up top here, I'd replace it where it's located, and I can use a little bit of silicone. It's going to be fine. The chain's not going to get past that. So that's my little rule of thumb with that. And then, without further ado, we're going to pop on our handy dandy side cover. You can clean these up, anything. I got a pressure washer. I got to do a whole bunch more maintenance to this thing, so I'm not going to at the moment. But what do you call it there? I'm going to put this on, get this in place. Sorry about the video, guys. I do apologize. I got to get a new camera and stand so I can do these videos a little bit more efficiently. But for just getting started out, I can make this work. Okay, remember, on the left side of the bike, all these cover screws are the same. They are, however, different on the other side. On the other side, the big one goes down bottom, and then the two small ones go one on top, one on the side. And you might notice I'm not tightening these up all the way. Never tighten a screw up until you get them all in. It saves on the threads and makes it go together a lot easier. And then you can walk them all in together. Okay, now they're in. Now I'm going to snug them, and then I'm going to tighten them. For that, I'm going to have to put you down though. Okay, oh, I got. Alright. So I put the cover back on and the shifter. Tightened all the screws down. And now we're going to move to the other part, is up top here. This is your connector right here for your ignition, the black wire, and the green wires for your neutral safety switch. And then on the other side is simply your alternator, or in this case, generator. And then we're going to pull that wire off and see if we can pull them through. I loosened up this strap, by the way. So you loosen up the strap, and you can pull it through if you can. It's a little difficult. Okay. And then down under here, under the oiler part, there is another one. Right there, it's a metal strap. You're going to have to use a screwdriver and pry that out. It actually holds the brake wire too, the brake light wire. So we're going to fish this through. Don't be intimidated, just remember how it came apart, and you can use this video obviously as a reference as much as you need. Ask any questions you want. I'll be more than happy to help you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it for a second, get a screwdriver. Okay, so I want to show you this real quick. This nipple right here on the bottom of your reservoir for your oil, be careful you do not hit that, as you could snap it off. So you can use gentle pressure. I use my Phillips and I stick it right in back of the tab and I bend it forward. Just enough to take my finger, hook it on, pull the brake wire out first, and then release the Magneto wire. Okay, now the Magneto on the other side should fall to the ground, and that's all done on that. Then I can pull my Magneto out, like so. There's the whole Magneto right there, and I'm going to take the new wires and fish them through. We're going to do this right in the reverse order we took them out. So we'll fish them right through here. One second, there we go. Right up like that, yep. That's out of the bolt. Fish them right up through. Okay. Grab from the other side if we can, and pull on. Make sure sure they're where you want them on this side before you finish. See right there, they should be protruding right out through here. That's where you want them. That way they're out of the way of the chain, and you have as much out there as possible. Then, same thing you're going to do. You're going to insert in that clamp right there. If you can see it, it's very difficult to see in this lighting, but there's a clamp right there. The wire is going to go on the other side of that. Okay, so once you get the wires, the the ignition and charging system first, then you put your brake wire back on. I use a screwdriver back on the tab and just gently push it until it's where you want it. Then this wire right here is going to go on the back side of the air filter mount, like so. You're going to put them back into that strap right above you, right there. The strap right here, they're going to fish through, and then you can plug in your alternator. They should be all the same wiring. Boom, like that. And then you see right here, they match right up. So I'm going to put you down for a second, plug them in. Okay, so I got them all plugged in right there. They'll be up on that side, on the opposite side. I have to make the new connector for what do you call it there, to plug into the factory. I'll loop that through. If you plug that into the factory harness, so I'm going to make that connector after and make the bracket for the coil, and then this thing will have electronic ignition. It's just that simple. Now that we have all the wiring on this side ran, we can then go ahead and put the two side covers back on the bike. Starting with this one here, because it's already on here. This is what I was talking about right here with that slit. You're gonna put that right through there, right into that groove. Make sure all this wiring is tucked up underneath. Get it right to where you want it. I'll put you down for a second. Okay, slides into the groove there. You gotta finagle, you gotta walk it back and forth, bring it up underneath, and you screw underneath. On this side has one screw, the other side has two. So for that one, we will go and grab a screwdriver, and these don't have to be super tight, they have to be snug. Okay, so I put the side cover on with the two screws, one up top here, one down bottom there, and other than putting the coil on and making that adapter with the two wires that I showed you at the beginning, to go from, you could cut these and splice them together. I like the factory because if I ever wanted to put this bike back to the way it was, I can. So I'm going to make the adapter to go from this harness style to this harness style, and I'll fit right in there, and then hook up the coil. And the coil will go, I'm going to make that little adapter for that one too. Okay, and then the coil will go right here and plug into the same wire it came out of, and that's all there is to it. And then this thing will have electronic ignition. Sick, huh? A 1979 with electronic ignition from a 2000 KE100. So I have to solder the wires. I got to make the bracket. I'm going to do that tonight, and we'll do the finishing video on this tomorrow. Tomorrow's supposed to be raining, so I'm going to try to get it done tonight, and see if we can start this thing tomorrow. So this is part one of the 1979 KM100 electronic conversion to the KE100 setup. And then here's the adapters right here. I'll show you these. So this one obviously is going to plug into that blue connector right there, and then this white one right here is going to plug into that one right there. These are going to be soldered and heat shrinked because that's the way I roll. And then what do you call it there? I'm gonna make the wire a little shorter, but they'll be connected right there. And then that Magneto right there, everything was going to work the same. The charging system's going to work, the electronic ignition, all my switches, all that's going to work. Key switch, everything's going to work. On that, we're going to throw a battery in it, which I have on charger right now. And then that's it. And then do the coil, and then we are set to go. So a little bit of modification, but now you can see how easy it is. Now, here's the kick in the butt. You're going to love this part, people. This is a KM100 1979. that same setup will work just the way I did it. This video is going to cover also the KD80. Yes, you can do that exact same system to the KD80. They are the exact same. All three of these share the same base power plant on them. And are you ready for something even more wilder than that? Do you remember that video I showed you guys where I took the cylinder head off? It was the G4 motor, the 10-speed. Yep, that one. I'm walking over to it right now. This particular motor right here that's laying on its side dead. This motor right here. That will work on this system too. So all your G series bikes, and I think even the 125, the early ones with the points, can be converted because they're also 6 volt. So this right here would also work on that. Ain't that crazy? So you can put these electronic ignitions on these old dinosaur bikes, make it look factory, and get the performance benefits of a newer bike on an older bike. You get the longer power band, the lower idle, the faster starting, and the reliability of electronic. Come on, that's awesome. So this bike right here, I love riding. However, it did leave me stranded with the points, which that's not, it's understandable. It's been sitting forever, but we're past that now. So I'm showing this thing some love. Nice little upgrade to the what do you call it, the electronic ignition. And also wanted to give you guys an update for those who what do you call it, the subscribers who watch my videos and are waiting for the electronic ignition. The voltage regulator has been ordered. I ordered that the other day, and I'm waiting for that to come in. When that comes in, then we can do our 12 volt conversion. So anyway, as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you find these videos informative and instructional. And I do apologize for my camera. I'm actually doing this on a cell phone, so I have to hold it with one hand. I just started doing these and they've been taking off, so I'm going to continue doing them. I am going to get a better camera. I asked Santa Claus. He's going to hook me up. So yeah, as always, please subscribe, and thank you guys. I love the comments. Keep them coming. And if there's anything I can help you with as far as videos or any information or even some parts, I don't have any electronic ignitions kicking around. I have been ordering them,